Today, I wanted to talk about the importance of the identity that you have in your head and how the identity that you have in your head, right? Or another word for it is your self perception, like the perception that you have of yourself. How it's this is so important to help you build the habits that you do every single day. And I got this information from a great book called Psycho-Cybernetics, and the the information that I got, basically like what I got from this book, was that your self-perception is so important to you as a person. Like how you see yourself is so important, and it's so important because it will dictate the actions that you do every single day. Right? How you see yourself will the actions that you do every single day will be dictated by the perception that you have of yourself. And it's such a strong thing to have. But the good news is it can be changed. Like it's not something that you're born with, right? Your identity is changeable. You're not born with a certain identity and you cannot change it. That's completely false. If you've ever heard that in your life, if you truly believe that, I'm here to tell you it's completely false. You can change the perception that you have of yourself, like 100%. You could see yourself as a lazy person, and tomorrow wake up and see yourself like as a productive person that cleans his home, and you won't truly believe it right, not right away, but eventually you'll believe it. You'll start to believe it, and your actions will be congruent with the perception that you have of yourself. Which is why it's so important, right? That if you want to become a better version of yourself, if you want to change the version of yourself that you are, right? If you're coming in front of the mirror every single day and you dislike the version of yourself that you're seeing, right? What's looking back in the mirror? If you dislike it, if you're not proud of that version of you, right? If you're not proud of what is staring back at you in the mirror, the first step that you need to do is change how you see yourself. That's the first step. And I'll start with a like clear example so you can understand me well. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing that you do is take your phone and, like, I don't know, scroll. Maybe you like you play you maybe you masturbate, right? Maybe you go on the adult site and you play with yourself, right? If you start your day that way, like really badly, this is all because of the perception that you have of yourself. Because imagine for a second, right? An athlete waking up in the morning, like imagine LeBron James, right? We all know who LeBron James is. Imagine LeBron James waking up in the morning. Do you really think he takes his phone, right? He goes on social media, he scrolls, he wastes his time on Instagram Reels, it wastes it's his time on TikTok scrolling, right? As soon as he wakes up, or he going like on adult sites, right? And he plays with himself every single morning. Do you really think he does that, right? No. He sees himself, right, as an athlete. So he acts accordingly, right? If you see yourself as an athlete, what does an athlete do every single day? He wakes up, he trains, right? As soon as he wakes up, he gets the fuck out of bed and he trains, right? Or he eats what he need to eat to get like the proper fuel, or he stretches. But he surely does not stay in bed with his phone scrolling. That's for sure, because an athlete does not do that. And the reason why he's able to do it is because he doesn't see himself as a fucking like loser or someone who's in bed. No, he sees himself as an athlete, like the highest possible grade of athlete. And once you see yourself that way, right, your own actions will be congruent with that version of you, because an athlete doesn't stay in bed. He doesn't procrastinate. An athlete does not procrastinate. An athlete has to train, has to fuel his body, and he has to like be the best version of himself to perform, right? So staying in bed, brain rotting, or like playing with himself, eating junk food is not congruent with that version of himself, right? With that inner perception of himself. It's not congruent. So he's not going to do those things. And the reason why you're doing those things right now is because that's how you see yourself. You see yourself as someone who eats junk food, procrastinates, brain rots, plays with himself. You see yourself as that guy. And the first step, right? The literally the first step that you need to do if you want to stop doing those things is to remove that inner version, like that inner perception of yourself. That's the first step. First step is to go in front of a mirror, right? And just tell yourself, I am not that version, right? I'm not that person. I'm someone who's disciplined, right? Let's say your goal is to be more disciplined and stop procrastinating. You have to see yourself as that person first. You have to see yourself as someone who's disciplined, someone that when it's time to work, he works, someone that is not lagging behind with his work, right? You have to see yourself as that person. And of course, like it won't change right away. You won't wake up tomorrow morning with a fresh like version of you. That's not how it works. But eventually, right? Eventually, with repetition, and once you start believing it, right? Because you have to tell it in a way that is believing, like in a way that is confident and that you'll believe it, right? Don't lie to yourself, right? You have to see yourself as that vision. You have to see yourself as someone who's disciplined. And it's a bit of gaslighting, yeah, but it's good gaslighting because right away you're not that version of you. Right? You're not that disciplined because like you know yourself. If you've been procrastinating for a while, you're not disciplined, and it's fine. It's okay, but you have to see yourself as that person, right? And eventually, if you tell yourself like for a long time, you know what? No, I'm disciplined. I'm someone who's disciplined. I always work when I need to work. I always do the hard thing when it needs to be done, right? Eventually your actions will naturally and automatically start to be congruent with that version, because you'll wake up one morning and you're not going to want to reach for your phone because that's not who you are. You're disciplined. Someone who's disciplined don't take his phone. He doesn't waste its own time. He's not playing with himself on adult sites. He doesn't eat the junk food. He's disciplined, right? That's how it works. So slowly you'll start doing the actions that someone who's disciplined is doing because you change that vision. You're just going to tell yourself, no, this is not who I am. I'm not that guy. I need to train right now because I'm disciplined. I need to work right now because I'm disciplined. And it doesn't have to be like discipline. It can be anything else. If your house right now, your home is filthy, you might just want to become like a better cleaner, right? And you might see yourself as someone who cleans his home once a week, right? And you like see clearly that vision and you imagine yourself as that guy who cleans his house every single week, right? And after a few weeks, you'll naturally want to clean your house because this is the new identity that I don't want to say built, because you didn't build it. You just transformed yourself as that guy. It's like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, right? he's still the same thing, but he just evolved, right? And this is what you want. You just want to evolve as that next step, right? So after a few weeks of telling yourself, you know what, I'm disciplined. No, I'm a disciplined person, or like I'm an athlete. I need to train, whatever. You'll see that your actions will automatically be more aligned with that vision of yourself. And it's really important that you nurture that vision. You have to take care of that vision, like that new inner perception. Because if you don't, right, you'll just go to step zero once again. You'll go back to your old version, because this is exactly what we do when we're not like when we are in a situation and we stop thinking. We often reverse back to that old comfortable version of ourselves, right? And it's really important that you don't forget that. Like every single time it gets hard, remind yourself. Remind you of that version. Remind yourself, I'm that person. I'm disciplined. I'm an athlete, right? I'm someone who loves working. Remind yourself like constantly, because you'll see that once it gets hard, you'll revert back to that old version of you. And it's like a spiral. You'll spiral back into that version and it's really hard to get back into the good track, like to get back into those new habits that you developed. So try to constantly remember and try to constantly reaffirm that new inner perception that you're trying to change. Constantly, 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 right? I see it so much in myself. When I don't, right, when I don't reaffirm that vision, that you know what, I'm disciplined, like I can work when I need, when the work needs to be done, right? When I don't reaffirm that, I revert back to my old self, and my old self is not disciplined. He likes to waste its own time. He likes to procrastinate, and I don't want to be that version of. I don't want to be that version. I hate that version. So I have to constantly reaffirm that no, this is not who I am. I'm not. This is not who I am anymore. I work when I need to. When the work needs to be done, I'm disciplined. I'll do things that I don't want to do because it needs to be done. I have to constantly remind myself of that, because once you're in front of that mirror, you have to remind yourself that like it can be hard. Actually, it can be hard because you're seeing the exact same thing in front of the mirror, but inside is different. So it's really hard, but you have to constantly, constantly just reaffirm that new like identity. And basically it will just kill your old habits, because what's the point, right? What is the point of doing those bad habits if right? What's the point? Right? If that's not who you are anymore, you're just gonna stop doing those bad habits and you're gonna start to pick up the habits that someone who's you're gonna start picking up the habits of someone who is who you're trying to become, basically. So it's really important that you change that vision as the first step, right? If you want to become something more, if you want to change as a person, the first step is always going to be change first, that inner perception inside of your head. And once it's changed, right, give it like a couple of weeks, constantly reaffirm it, and never stop reaffirming that belief that, you know what, I'm an athlete, right? I am a disciplined person. I'm someone that works. Constantly reaffirm it, because if you don't, you'll see yourself reverting back to your old self as soon as the as soon as it becomes hard. You have to constantly remind yourself of that. But basically, try it. Like this is why you're not seeing. This is why the changes that you're trying to apply are not sticking. It's because you didn't change how you saw yourself, like internally, right? You didn't change it, and It can be tricky. I'm telling you right now, it can be tricky, but it's very doable because I've applied it a number of times. And the trick is to never stop reaffirming that new inner identity. Never stop. Because once you stop, you revert back to your old self, and you don't want that. So go try it. Go try it right now, and let me know if it worked. Let me know also if it's hard, right? Especially if it's hard, because I might be able to help you with that. But let me know if it's hard. And now that you have that knowledge, go and apply it. And I truly believe in you, and you can do it. And I know you can.